Hello, everyone. So welcome to our video Virgo. I almost thought I said that wrong for a minute there. Um, so we're going to be talking about the sign Virgo. It's the sixth sign. And Virgos are all about service to other. So just to recap, maybe just a couple signs back, we were talking about Cancer, and Cancer was the self kind of connecting with its very intimate circle. Leo was about the self creating, expressing self out into the world in some way. And now the Virgos are about connecting with the other in a serving kind of way. So they're the healers, they're the nurses, they're the caretakers.
I think there is a balance, Leo Virgo, because in Leo you want the service come to you. You want others to serve you. You want others to notice you. With Virgo, it's the opposite. You don't need to be noticed. You just want to give. You want to be in the back room helping everybody that is in front of you. You want to give yourself to others expecting nothing just because that's who you are, a healer, a nurturer, a giver. So you really offer from your soul, you offer yourself to the service of another person or your family or community.
So their mantra is I am the mother and the child. I nurture matter. I think I am the mother and I am the child is, and I'm looking ahead. So I'm just looking ahead to what the lesson is, but I think this may be another lesson for Virgos where it's about nurturing and care. And we always focus on the nurturing and care of others because that's such an important component. But it's also for Virgo about the nurturing and care of self. So to me, I'm reading this as you're the mother and the child. So you care for others, you nurture for others like the mother, but you also have to do that for the inner child.
Well, that is true because Virgos not only have this need of servicing others, but they also are very careful with what they eat, how they
Yes.
take care of their health.
Health.
So
Yes.
they're really strict with themselves. They really nurture themselves very well. They stick to a plan. They are organized. So
Mhm.
I think can come from that understanding.
Yes. So the foundations that are given to souls that incarnate with Virgo's energy, they have the Christ consciousness or they express Christ consciousness through selfless aspirations. So I want to talk a little bit about the use of Christ consciousness, where I think some people that have been studying or working in the spiritual kind of wisdoms or um, different systems of beliefs are maybe familiar with this, but I just started teaching a class and I mentioned Christ consciousness and someone immediately associated that with a very Christian Jesus Christ kind of
Mhm.
aspect to it. And it's not, it's more embodying kind of the core expression of Jesus Christ and the life that he lived and the principles he lived through. And I think that's what's being implied here. And so you think about the caring for others, the unconditional love for others, the non-judgment of others, the accepting other as they are, but also walking the path with them when they need it, or offering the healing or the consolation when they needed it. And I think that's what is being talked about here with the Virgo.
Mhm. I think another expression for Christ consciousness in different religions is can be Messiah consciousness too. Is the idea of bringing to us the that sense of unconditional love and really being there for others, not making it all about ourselves, right?
Yeah. So it's the second one is it's a consummated expansion of the Christ principle. Gosh, these are big words we're using here.
It's getting heavier for poor
Yeah,
Virgos, right? It's like
Virgo's got
wow.
a lot on their shoulders. My goodness, lots to live up to. But it's that same idea of you're bringing it through and being selfless. So you aspire to help others, And here you're expanding on that as well. So it's not just bringing it through, but it's expanding it outward to other people, groups of people.
And what I've noticed, Christine, because I know a lot of Virgos, is that they do it um, so easily. It comes so natural for them to be loving and caring. It's kind of even a need. They enjoy being there for others, nurturing others,
Mhm.
and helping others. So if they sense somewhere that somebody needs something, they have to be there and do the work. So it's not a burden, I think. It's just something that comes from their heart,
Yeah,
really.
like a soul purpose kind of
Yes.
thing.
Hmm.
They also bring forth the analytical mind. And so Virgos are very detail oriented, which to me makes so much sense because I think about the people that have gone and gotten medical degrees. If you just think about all the things they have to learn and categorize and understand systems and how they break down into smaller and smaller details, like that's Virgo.
Yeah, and also think that if they have to be there for themselves and others, it's like double work, right? They always get it. So in order to be ready and have the time, they're really good time managers. In order to be there for themselves and be there for others, they have to go into details and make sure that everything is organized so they don't have things falling out and then creating chaos in their lives. They really look into making sure that the house is clean, they have everything that they need, they will have the right time to do what they need to do. They plan ahead things so that way they can flow them through the day and be in control of what's happening.
I want to say maybe in a well-balanced Virgo that
Yes.
exists. And then the last one is improvement of what already exists. And I think that kind of ties in with what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
So the symbol is the Virgin. The archetype is the healer. Makes sense. They're born between August 21st and September 20th, and their ruling planet is Mercury. So we'll get into the planets a little bit more later. Um, but Mercury is the planet of communication and
The
intellect.
mind.
Yeah,
That's why they have the analytical mind because of Mercury.
yeah. Virgo rules the sixth house. It's an earth element and a mutable quality. And the lesson is restoring order while learning to rest and accept what is, which I think what we were talking about, the balanced Virgo understands how to manage all the details of self-care and care of others and plans and time frames.
Mm-hmm.
So if they've achieved and mastered their lesson, they will have that. And the part of the body is the intestines and the colon.
All right. And we go into expressions now.
Okay, so they are practical, they're flexible, they're logical, they're hardworking, responsible, reliable, they're organized. I think we've talked a lot about all of this already. They're humble. I think that's part of that Messiah consciousness again, right? That giving self isn't as important as the other.
Mm-hmm.
They have clear vision, so they don't get muddled down by details. They actually can break them into all their different aspects and order them and categorize them. They're patient and they're the healer.
What I also notice is that they have such a great eye to see what is not right. So they enter the room and they just notice everything. And if something is tilted or something is moved, or they get it like this.
Hmm.
Maybe the next one, Libra, they feel that when something is off, but Virgos, they have an amazing eye to see what needs to be adjusted.
So they're very observant then.
Very observing. I think that is what Mercury is given to them. It's that clarity and that perception, very quick, very smart.
And I think when we move now to the other side, you'll see that being overwhelmed by details and having to manage down to minute details can also express itself in ways that aren't as beneficial, like being obsessive or being restless because you constantly see things that need to change or have ideas of things that you need to get done, or you can expect the worst. So they're worriers. Again, because their minds go out and they can see all the different scenarios that could possibly happen. They're very exacting. Do you think that exacting is only directed towards self or towards self and others?
I think to themselves and others.
Mhm,
They see everything.
mhm.
They notice everything.
So they can be a little bit compulsive. They can have express compulsive behavior. They're perfectionists. They can be exhausting, and I want to say that they can also exhaust themselves. So it's not just being around them that can be exhausting if they're on the manic side of the detail focus. Overly giving. So that idea of being selfless, sometimes I have a problem with that word, right? Because just the word itself, selfless, is being without self at all. So not being aware or concerned with or caring for self. And I think that being exhausted and overly giving then plays into that. So I think that on the plus side, when people use the word selfless, I wonder sometimes if maybe what they're implying is that you're dropping your ego
Hmm.
more than you're not aware or concerned with yourself.
I think it's more like dropping the ego.
Yeah. And they can feel too responsible. Um, yeah, I think that's good. You want to add anything else?
Well, I'm thinking adjusting the shadow aspect will be to be more loving with your own self, right? To relax a little bit. Things don't have to be perfect, and maybe find techniques, maybe going to therapy or meditation to be able to accept what it is in the way it is. If you I myself have to learn that, because I was thinking before I couldn't get to work or meditate until the house was clean, and it was kind of obsessing. If something needed to be done, I couldn't leave something without fixing it before I can do something else. And with time, I adjusted myself, I to understand what is important for me. Is important for me meditate? Well, then I can do dishes later. And learning that self-control of not letting the dishes bother me and stop me from doing what is really important. So for Virgos, I think that learning to accept that things might not be perfect, but you can still go on with your life. You can still enjoy your time with friends. You can still have a great time with your family. And it's not about always cleaning and making things perfect. It's also about loving yourself and taking care of yourself and learning to say no, and perhaps even trusting that if you say no, I cannot help this person, trusting that creation is gonna bring somebody else to help or to do what needs to be done. It's not always on your shoulders. What do you think, Christine?
Yeah, I think it's good. And it's bringing up for me. So we talk when we just have our own friend conversations, we talk a lot about labels and stepping outside of the box. And I think every one of these signs that we're dealing with has an archetype that we're talking about. And I think some of them have more of a boxed label than others. So if you talk about being the creative person, it feels a little bit more open in how it can express itself and the expectations that are around it versus being the healer or a nurturer. So when society puts out and labels someone as a healer, there's expectations that come along with it. And I think maybe one of the things that Virgos need to do is be able to be the healer and the nurturer as they define it and how they see they can help best and who they can help best and how. And I think with them and maybe with Cancer, with being the mother and the nurturer, the same thing. There's different ways of expressing it, and they then have to find in themselves what's the right expression of that energy and that archetype for them.
They don't have to be everything for everybody.
Yes. Yes.
And I think we are done with Virgo today.
Okay, good. So we'll be back with the next video, which will be all about Libra.
Libra. Bye.
Bye, everyone.